Across Ukraine's steppes, the soil was dying. Cracked earth, failed harvests, communities abandoning farms. However, in 2019, Ukraine released 50 marmots into barren grasslands. What they built underground defied every soil scientist's prediction. The Ukrainian steppe once covered 40% of the country, a vast grassland ecosystem that served as the breadbasket for the Russian Empire and Soviet Union for centuries. These fertile plains produced abundant harvests that fed millions, but this bounty came at a devastating cost. Intensive Soviet agricultural practices, unrestrained overgrazing, and heavy chemical farming stripped away an estimated 8 million hectares of precious topsoil between 1950 and 1990 alone. Today, the situation has reached crisis proportions. A staggering 35% of Ukraine's agricultural land is now classified as severely degraded, with soil erosion rates 10 to 50 times above sustainable levels. You can see it in the landscape. Once productive fields now lay barren, with deep gullies carved by water runoff where the soil no longer absorbs rainfall. The human toll of this ecological disaster has been equally devastating. Rural communities across Ukraine are abandoning farms that have been in families for generations. The youth are migrating to cities in search of work, taking with them the traditional farming knowledge that has been passed down for centuries. With each elderly farmer who dies, irreplaceable wisdom about working with the land disappears. For decades, Ukrainian authorities and international agencies have attempted to reverse this decline through conventional means. While billions of dollars have been poured into fertilizer programs, irrigation projects, and soil amendment initiatives, the results have been disappointing at best. Despite these massive investments, soil health continues to deteriorate and agricultural productivity declines year after year. Ukrainian farmers now apply 3 to 5 times more fertilizer than their counterparts in Western Europe, yet yields continue to drop. This chemical dependency has created a vicious cycle. As soil biology collapses, more synthetic inputs are needed just to maintain minimal production. Mechanical interventions haven't fared much better. Deep ploughing, subsoiling, and elaborate drainage systems temporarily improved field conditions, but ultimately accelerated long-term degradation by disrupting natural soil structure and microbial communities. International aid hasn't solved the problem either. World Bank and European Union agricultural modernization projects have focused primarily on technological solutions rather than ecosystem restoration. Modern machinery and precision farming techniques have helped maximize production from remaining viable soils, but have done little to reverse the underlying degradation. The expert consensus became increasingly pessimistic. Soil scientists agreed that restoring Ukraine's steppes would require decades and massive investment in infrastructure. Most believed the damage was simply too extensive to repair within a single human generation. What everyone overlooked was the role of native species that had shaped these grasslands for millennia before human intervention. The steppe marmot, once abundant across Ukraine, had nearly disappeared due to hunting and habitat loss. These rotund rodents weighing up to 7 kilograms had been ecosystem engineers since the last ice age. Their disappearance coincided with the acceleration of soil degradation, yet no one made the connection. That changed in 2019 when a small team of Ukrainian and Polish ecologists proposed a radical idea. Instead of fighting soil compaction with machinery, why not reintroduce nature's original soil engineers? The premise was elegantly simple: release breeding pairs of marmots into degraded areas and let them do what they evolved to do for millions of years. What these burrowing rodents create beneath the surface is nothing short of miraculous. Marmot colonies establish extensive burrow networks, extending 3 to 5 meters deep and covering several hectares per family group. These are not simple holes, but complex underground cities with multiple chambers and functions. Each marmot family moves an estimated 1 to 2 tons of soil annually, mixing deep mineral layers with organic surface material. This natural soil processing accomplishes what no machine can, creating soil structure while incorporating organic matter at precisely the right depths. As one soil scientist noted, they're performing soil restoration at the microscopic level, where it actually matters. The ecosystem cascade from this activity is remarkable. Burrows create microclimates, water infiltration points, and habitat for dozens of other steppe species. Our plants that couldn't establish in compacted soil find perfect growing conditions in the loose earth around burrow entrances. These vegetation islands then expand outward, gradually reclaiming barren ground. The burrow architecture itself is a marvel of natural engineering. These underground systems include multiple entrances for safety, specialized nursery chambers for raising young, dedicated food storage areas, and insulated winter hibernation dens. Some burrow systems have been mapped extending over 50 meters horizontally with dozens of interconnected chambers. This excavation transforms soil at the chemical and physical level. Marmots bring nutrient-rich subsoil to the surface while burying organic matter like plant material and their own waste, creating natural soil horizons that would take decades to develop otherwise. The constant mixing prevents soil stratification that often occurs in degraded agricultural lands. Perhaps most importantly, these burrow networks revolutionize water dynamics in the landscape. They act as underground reservoirs, capturing rainfall and preventing surface runoff during storms. In test plots, water infiltration increased dramatically, from just 2 millimeters per hour in degraded areas to 15 millimeters per hour in marmot-inhabited zones within 3 years. This single change dramatically reduces erosion while improving drought resilience. The microbial revival in marmot-influenced soils has astonished researchers. Soil samples show a 300 to 500% increase in beneficial bacteria and mycorrhizal fungi within 18 months of marmot colonization. These microorganisms form the foundation of soil health, and breaking down organic matter and making nutrients available to plants in forms they can readily absorb. The plant community response has been equally impressive. Native grasses and wildflowers establish first around burrow mounds, creating islands of biodiversity that gradually expand. Species that had disappeared from these landscapes for generations are returning, their seeds either brought in by marmots in their fur or finally finding suitable germination conditions. Independent testing has confirmed the dramatic soil health improvements. After just 3 years, marmot-restored areas show 40 to 60% improvement in organic matter content and water retention capacity compared to control plots. The structure of the soil itself changes, becoming more granular and crumbly rather than compacted and platy. The biodiversity recovery extends well beyond plants. Researchers have documented 47 plant species and 23 bird species returning to areas where marmots were reintroduced. Many of these are specialist steppe species that cannot survive in conventional agricultural landscapes. Insects, reptiles, and small mammals have followed, recreating complex food webs that once defined the Ukrainian steppe. The climate benefits are substantial as well. Restored grasslands are storing an estimated 2 to 3 tons of carbon per hectare annually, turning degraded land into a climate solution. Most of this carbon is sequestered deep underground in stable forms that resist release even during droughts or wildfires. Perhaps most remarkable is the cost-effectiveness of this approach. Marmot reintroduction costs approximately 200 per hectare, compared to 200 per hectare. Compared to 200 per hectare, compared to 2,000 to 5,000 for conventional soil restoration methods involving machinery and amendments. The marmots require no maintenance once established. They continue their soil building work year after year at no additional cost. Local farmers were initially skeptical about rodents being beneficial. Many remembered marmots as agricultural pests from their grandparents' stories. But attitudes shifted dramatically when they observed improved crop yields in fields adjacent to marmot colonies. The animals rarely venture into actively farmed areas but create beneficial edge effects as water and soil improvements extend beyond their colonies. Communities are developing a sense of pride around these charismatic creatures. Villages have adopted marmots as symbols of renewal, with children learning about native wildlife for the first time. Schools organize field trips to marmot viewing areas, teaching the next generation about ecosystem connections and natural history. Economic benefits have emerged unexpectedly. A modest ecotourism industry is developing around marmot watching, providing alternative income for rural communities. Urban Ukrainians visit on weekends to photograph the animals and experience restored steppe landscapes. Foreign tourists, particularly birdwatchers and wildlife photographers, have begun including these sites in their itineraries. The knowledge exchange has been particularly valuable. Elderly farmers remember when marmots were common and share stories of how grasslands used to look and function. This traditional ecological knowledge is being documented alongside scientific monitoring, creating a more complete understanding of steppe ecosystems. Young people are finding reasons to stay in rural areas or return after education. University students from nearby cities now monitor marmot populations as part of research programs, bringing scientific careers back to rural areas. Some have established small businesses offering guided tours or producing educational materials about steppe restoration. The potential for scaling this approach is enormous. The Ukrainian government has identified approximately 2 million hectares suitable for marmot-assisted restoration across the country. If fully implemented, this would transform vast areas of currently marginal land into productive, biodiverse ecosystems. Our interest has spread beyond Ukraine's borders. Kazakhstan, Mongolia, and Russian steppe regions are expressing interest in similar rewilding programs using their local marmot species. These vast grasslands face similar degradation challenges, but also offer immense restoration potential. The climate impact could be substantial. If scaled across degraded steppe ecosystems, restored grasslands could sequester 10 to 20 million tons of CO2 annually, equivalent to taking millions of cars off the road. This nature-based climate solution requires no new technology, just the reintroduction of a species that has been shaping these landscapes for millennia. For Ukraine's food security, healthier soils support sustainable agriculture with reduced chemical inputs, decreasing the country's dependence on imported fertilizers. As one farmer put it, "Masas, the marmots are rebuilding my soil for free, while I used to spend thousands on fertilizers that washed away with the first heavy rain." As Ukraine looks toward post-war reconstruction, marmot restoration offers a low-cost solution for rehabilitating agricultural land damaged by conflict. Areas where farming has been interrupted by war may provide perfect opportunities for rewilding initiatives that restore ecosystem function while requiring minimal investment. Sometimes the most advanced solution is the oldest one, letting nature's engineers do what they've always done. The humble marmot reminds us that ecological recovery doesn't always require complex technology or massive investment. Often, it simply means re-establishing the key species that shaped ecosystems for millennia before human disruption. This Ukrainian success story forces us to question what other extinct ecosystem engineers could restore degraded landscapes worldwide. From beavers in Europe, to prairie dogs in North America, to wombats in Australia, burrowing mammals have shaped soil development on every continent. What native species once shaped your local environment, and what might happen if they were allowed to return? As we face global challenges of soil degradation and climate change, perhaps the most powerful solutions are right beneath our feet, if only we have the wisdom to let nature lead the way.